Hi, yeah. So, second, this is part two with Susan Thompson. So, Susan, can you just explain then why your neighbour's trees died and yours didn't? Why was your slow burn less damaging than your neighbour's fast burn?
Yeah, 100%. So of course we know that there are many different soil types across the world and across Australia. So each land type would vary. So each mob would have a different idea and practice of the right time to burn. For us in the desert uplands region, when we would burn is as soon as we get anywhere between 10 to 30 mil of rain, and we know we've got at least a half a metre of moisture in our sand, in our soil, that is a cool burn. You can light it, and we light it the day after, or you can light it while it's raining, because it's only going to burn the stuff that needs to burn, which is the heavy fuel loads.
The heavy fuel loads?
The heavy fuel loads, because when it's all thick and gnarly is the... But if you get it at the right time, it just goes and tenders its way through. So it's about being patient. But we don't use drip torches. We don't create a fire line when we're burning. We don't walk along and create a big long fire line. That creates a whole climatic change and a fire front. But we'll walk over there and light that bit. We see all of the trees, so we're engaged with our environment. If there's big grandparent trees, as we call them, they are vital, because they've got to spit the seeds out for the next germination.
Okay, this is fascinating.
We go into those trees and we burn away from the trees. So we take our time. It's about the patience.
And the soil will still be damp.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so that's why the fire is not so intense.
100%.
And damaging.
Damaging.
Okay, and so can you get carbon credits for doing a burn correctly yet?
Not yet. We're almost there. There is in northern part of Australia the Savannah fire method, so Indigenous communities up there have led in that space. So that's a method that Australia now is, and it actually fetches one of the quite premium. So Indigenous credits in Australia are premium credits. We have a fire credit that the Indigenous Carbon Foundation has developed, and a pool benefit. So they're on the open market. They fetch quite premium prices for Indigenous communities.
Can you give my viewers an idea of the price?
Well, say for instance, the standard price now for a normal carbon is around $34 a carbon unit. Anywhere between $64 to $98 has been the premium Indigenous.
Wow.
So, and because of the value, because it's also the value that's brought to that, it's ethical. And this is, I think, where our practice is an ethical practice, and I think that's what differentiates my HIR carbon project to the rest of the ones that then have been, I suppose, discredited as being ethical because they're not doing it the right way, or they're not delivering, because there's no combination of Indigenous knowledges to make sure we're balancing that. And that's why it's crucial that Indigenous people globally are a part of not just the carbon, but nature as well.
Okay, and you mentioned HIR. Can you explain?
Human-induced regenerative, so land clearing, for instance. So, if they've bulldozed the land and trees and they've knocked trees over, or we've done any sort of damage to the land as such, then we've induced that through our human activity, and so therefore it's reversing that and it's resetting it. So,
and you've been
grazing with cattle, so there's a whole lot of things.
And you've been observing or participating in or actually negotiating on the Article 6 discussions here?
A little bits and pieces on Article 6, yes. So I just sort of, navigate, because it's my first opportunity and first time of feeling like, we've got something we can participate in. So, yes, so I have. So I think it's really important. I would have liked to have had a little bit more time and a little bit more background around what was required to inform Article 6. I think the difference is for me because I'm a practitioner in this space and I'm realising the value of our knowledge being in this space. So, yeah.
And are you worried that the rules that are coming out of this conference aren't going to be strong enough? Or are you excited that potentially a UN stamp will give some of your projects potentially even more credibility in the market and maybe even higher prices?
I'm hoping we do. Until I remain really confident we see what comes out? That's the million-dollar question. Again, if we haven't led in this conversation and informed it, and it's still very much a Western, industrialised, colonialised structure that is still informing it and still has a desire to have futures. That's my concern. So I think, are we getting there? Perhaps are we a little tag on? Is there some value in it? I've been watching how hard it's been fighting. We've had to fight for human rights, Indigenous rights, but there's children's rights. But hey, with children, you've got mothers.
A lot of rights are being trampled on.
Aren't they?
And it's partly, I think, because everyone's still focused on profit. The Anglo-Saxon model, capitalism model, is based on essentially profit only. And this shift to Sustainable Development Goals in 2030, how hopeful are you that, maybe the question is, so the people paying $98 or above the market price for your credits, are some of them companies?
Yeah, a lot of them.
So more likely to be a company. And why do they pay extra?
I think because they actually believe, and they're actually believing in the ethical Indigenous practice and lead in that. So I really think that they're valuing that and learning from that shared knowledge. And so when we do this, we're not just doing it and saying here and taking money, actually layering that sharing of knowledge and the value around the importance of it. For us, where I'm at Yatchina, we've developed the Cultural Passport. So it's a 4-year immersive engagement and relationship with us in order to be eligible as well for our credits. So I think we're in a position where we can actually assert some of that cultural authority over our exchange of that cultural currency that we see.
Okay, well, Susan Thompson, it's been fascinating to talk to you, and thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. And one more.
Of course, sorry, yes, you wanted to mention something else?
Yeah, so I'm also the director of the Indigenous Carbon Industry Network, which is a 28 Indigenous, 100% Indigenous owned carbon projects in Australia, and Australian Indigenous communities actually manage over 51% of Australia's land mass.
Sorry, how many did you say?
There's 28 member organisations who are working every day, and also we host in February the ISIL, it's called Indigenous Carbon Industry Network. We will host the Northern Australia Savannah Fire Forum, and since being here at COP in Larrakia country, I've got some brothers and sisters coming from Kenya to attend the Savannah Fire Forum, because there's about 600 Indigenous groups from around Australia, a range of groups that come together to talk about our cultural practices, and we do some methods and we do some stuff collectively together, and then so that cultural exchange of knowledge. So that's really starting to happen on the international Indigenous stage.
Brilliant. And I guess I should just quickly ask, since I have 1 more minute left, so what is success for you at COP29? Incorporating the more holistic thinking into the markets, is that right?
100%, absolutely. Indigenous-led has to be, and must be value for that. There must be a premium value put on that. I think also Australia getting to win the COP would be great, because it gives us as Indigenous Australians the opportunity, as much as we are part of the big contributors to this space. I think there's still great value in us being the oldest continual culture on the planet, to be able to be showcased, and hopefully then maybe reset what needs to happen globally. We've survived 6 extinction periods as Indigenous Australians, and that's been captured through our Dreamtime stories, and we definitely have something to share, and I believe that it's time. But we're running out of time, because I'm almost at that time to say to our mob, if they ain't going to listen no more after this one, then we zip up and we look after our own patch and let them go.
That sounds a bit Trumpian. Make America great again.
Well, not so much make anything great again. Make my own people survive something if they're not being heard, and don't have to. We choose our battles, and our battle is for our own survival, I believe, as Indigenous peoples. And the Western world's not going to listen.
Susan, thanks again for all of that time. Appreciate it.